All right, good Sunday, midday, local swell trackers, December 7th. I'm GQ dropping in for you, and the jet stream regime change and flow cranked up several weeks ago. We've seen the effects, of course, by Big Monday. Waves up to 35 feet out at Pe'ahi, the biggest spot by far for the whole Hawaiian Island chain, one of the greatest refractors of swell on the planet. So here is the jet stream, a river of wind above 30,000 feet flowing west-east around the planet. Major impacts on climate, weather, air mass, lows and high pressures, of course, which help create and steer storms, which are basically winds at the surface. And those, of course, bring us our waves. Here's the setup right here. There's some 160 knots in this jet. That's not very much. However, what we look at is a trough. Whenever you see it flow up like this, it gets a circulation down at the surface. And right here, about here, we have an amazing storm tracking east with some hurricane force winds, and I'm going to get to that. This is thanks to the jet stream. I'll start in the animations. You can see we weaken up a little bit here with high pressures moving in and some split jet flow. We'll see a north from this current setup. The jet gets bounced up to about 50 north latitude here at the end of the upcoming work week. But the good news is it lowers after that, as you can see coming off of Japan here, and those winds, they look to get pretty deep here with some 200 knots, with some winds over 200 knots. That's a good setup. Now this dip to our north, it'll be sending off some swell to the northwest coast, but not for us. So we like it when we look at the jet stream and it looks like a snake. Those troughs, once again, impart their energy and get a circulation down at the surface, especially if there's stronger winds within this large upper airflow. Going back to last Sunday, the 25th, this fetch right here was for Big Monday. The main winds, the main fetch are already out of the archives. This only goes back 7 days, but it still really helps thanks to Market Storm Surf for these. And there is the Big Daddy. The next swell will not match this one. Here comes this little fetch here, crossing the date line at 180. And this was last Wednesday. And this bumped us up for Saturday to some really fun northwest to north-northwest swell for the Vans World Cup, even though we had a front, thanks to the proximity of this storm. And after the frontal passage, we saw strong north winds and marginal conditions, but it did get fairly buttery in the afternoon with 5 to 7 foot waves, and then it was too small to go on Sunday. Anyway, this was the culprit for that swell. Here comes the next one. Okay, this guy has some hurricane force winds, some 40-plus foot seas. This is Sunday now current, and we're marching this thing along. You see how it has a zonal or east track? Had more of a captured fetch and got closer to us. This one is going to lift north. So let me go back once again and run through the models and get current. So here it was Big Monday swell. This is Friday the 23rd with some 45-foot seas in this guy as it heads towards the date line, crossing it here. And right there you see the white in the middle there, some 50-foot seas. And you can see how much closer this guy is, and with that better track. And it crossed past us zonally to the north. Here's the guy that brought us up for Saturday. Now here comes the next beast. And it is a beast, but you see how it lifts north? This is going to affect how big the waves get. Now there's plenty of fetch on here for there'll be some 20-foot waves somewhere out of this guy. I don't think it'll be big enough nor consistent enough for the eddy Wednesday or Thursday, but it will for sure be too big for the Vans World Cup at Sunset Beach. That is a massive storm. It's going to last a long time. You can take a look at many layers of the fetch, so the periods will really range on this one with some forerunners up to 25 seconds. And some of the lighter winds in the storm bringing in some 12 to 14 seconds. But wow, what a beast. Continuing on the animations, things do quiet down, but we do see a storm coming down from the central to east Aleutians with a decent fetch on its southwest flank. Its track sends, of course, most of its energy, as you can see, off to our east, but there's definitely enough in this guy. This is showing on Saturday, December 8th. We are expecting some waves to ramp Sunday, later in the day, 8 to 12 feet. For sure 10, maybe 8 to 12. We're going to have to wait and see what Mother Nature decides. And on Monday, the 10th, in that 8 to 12, and it'll drop rapidly since the storm moves out of the picture pretty quick. And again, since most of its fetch missing us. The next storm's forming up, but that's a little far out. high pressure straight to the northwest, and this is showing December 10th. All right, let's take a look at the swell periods. Passing us off right here with some 14-second periods, 12 to 14 seconds. This last northwest swell ended up north-northwest, passed us up here. Here comes the next little boost, and this is going to be for, later Monday, just a slight reinforcement on Monday. Some 14 seconds on this one. This is not the big swell. This is only going to be a 2 to 3, maybe 4 foot pre-event. Here comes the really serious swell. And this one looks to be reaching us with some long period forerunners later Tuesday. And by Wednesday morning, we should be seeing some 12-foot swell, 16 seconds. And we should be seeing waves just over 30 feet crest to trough. Spots like Jaws will be bigger. Waimea, we have to wait and see how it's going to handle this one. Very hard to call. Continuing on the animations, that one leaves us. We're going to get a slight push of 2 to 4 northwest from a distant storm up here by the West Aleutians that I forgot to point out. This is not the big north. Let me keep these animations going. Here comes that north swell, and that again later Sunday the 9th, peaking up to probably 12 feet through Monday the 10th, and then dropping rapidly to 4 to 6 on the 11th. These periods over here shot up into the Western Aleutians are from a storm off of Japan that's tracking northeast. Okay, and I wanted to do one last loop through. Here's the big guy here, and it's already on our side of the date line and moving up, sending huge waves into the Gulf. Continuing on with the animations. One low pressure sending most of its energy on December 6th. We'll get a slight clip for Friday. Really minor. The swell periods, we're showing that. And here's this system up here that the swell period animation shows. But again, all of these are 4 feet or less. Continuing these on, we have this guy for the big north on the 9th and 10th. And over here off of Kuril Islands is that system that's staying distant and pretty much moving the wrong way and sending its fetch up to the West Aleutians. If you wanted to go catch some storm surf and some misto reefs along with some great whites. Alrighty, the land down under shows a jet stream that is pointing up towards us. And you'd think there'd be some swell emanating from this guy, but it points straight up at us, and there's hardly anything that gets formed. Too much blue, wrong season, a lot of zonality, a lot of lack of consolidation. We were getting hopeful, but all we're going to be seeing is, maybe a foot of swell or less at 11 to 14 seconds, all of various angles. A little bit from the Tasman Sea. You can see occasional energy trying to emanate up from that. And a little bit down there from the southeast of New Zealand and under Tahiti. Some southeast swell mixing in, all of it 2 feet or less. That's what we would expect. I'll go ahead and show you anyway. This is going back Sunday the 25th, a week ago. See these weak systems? The seas are only 18, 20 feet, maybe 22, 24 feet, but they're not really tracking the right way. They're just not powerful enough to get the swell trains up 4,000 or 5,000 miles. That's all she wrote for the 7-day period. Bringing the models current, you see the little bit of Tasman Sea action going on here. Fiji will get some of that. Doubt that that's going to make it up. Well, the models are fantasizing 0.3 feet of swell at 14 seconds, okay? And the reason why is that swell periods, the way waves move through the ocean in groups, the period remains conservative, but the swell heights lose about half of their vertical height every 1,000 miles, roughly. That's the formula. It just helps to conceptualize it and realize that it's just not going to make it here. Sometimes this can equate to select spots getting waist high, but that's mostly ankle snappers. Rolling it out, you see not much going on. That's too zonal to make it up. Yeah, that's it. We'll go ahead, take a look at the periods. They try to emanate up from the Tasman and off to the southeast of New Zealand. Getting overwhelmed, of course, by the gnarly storms we've been having back-to-back up there for the north and west shorelines. These do not cancel each other out, but there you go. It looks like they're going to make their way up. Again, I said they can have long periods, but if there's not enough vertical height, we're just not going to see anything or much of anything. Taking a look at some hand-drawn surface charts, there's this front that passed by us. It's to the southeast of the Big Island now. This high pressure been pushed just to our north. It's pretty close. This high pressure here is a moderate 10 to 24 Middle bar, surface high. It's about 700 miles north of Kauai, and it's driving the trade winds moderate to fresh across the state. It's a dry, stable air mass for the most part, especially for the smaller islands. We still have moisture from the old front over the big island, and that was Sunday morning. But I'll get to the water vapor loops, and they'll show the upper air heights show a very zonal flow aloft over the islands, and with a departing upper trough east of the area. And again, we're all fairly stable here. Just low clouds. It's partly sunny, I would give it. Here comes the beast, as I've been calling this one. Hurricane force winds, seas up to 40 feet. If that had a captured fetch on it, we would have seen another swell as big and potentially even bigger than the last one. Alrighty, here we are about 20 north, 160 approximate longitude. Drilling down a little bit further, you can see that northeast tilt to the trades, the remnant front here, southeast of the Big Island, intertropical convergence zone where the trade winds from the North Pack meet the trades from the South Pack, and that stays put in general. You can see the stormy area off here, thanks to the low pressure bringing the extra large waves late Tuesday night, peaking Wednesday, Thursday. Drilling down further, highs are going to be in the upper 60s, lows in the lower 80s. And all in all, we should be doing okay. The winds are going to stay trades. They might weaken up a little bit on Wednesday as the high northwest of Hawaii weakens and a cold front approaches from the northwest associated with the low, bringing us the waves. But models agree the trade winds are going to begin to overrun this front by late in the day Thursday, and winds will once again become breezy through the upcoming weekend. The front will be fairly weak as it reaches the islands late this coming work week. The timing has some variation between the European models and the GFS or Global Forecast System. Here's the reflective loop showing overall fairly dry. The front off the southeast of the Big Island where all the rain is, the majority of it, and the usual windward Mauka regions. It is overall cloudy. I'd say broken clouds with about 20% sunshine leeward. Wanted to pop in windy.com here and show you the beauty. Love these animations. This is the model run for about 2 p.m. on Sunday, and this is the model run on Monday, already showing it lifting northeast. But there's a fetch on that puppy. Trust me, we're going to have some whomping waves. I just don't think it'll match what the eddy threshold or standard. To average 20 feet, you need 15 to 25, and you need it 8 hours during the day. Mother Nature doesn't always do that, but I wanted to drill in a little bit. You can see the northeast tilt to those trade winds. We have a small 4-foot dropping northwest swell now, and then moving us out of the picture and looking at the big storm. I wanted to show you these are computer generated. Now we're going to take a look at the quick scats. These are sea winds. These are actual measurements. Here we are right here in the middle, and here's the storm right here off to the northwest. I went ahead and grabbed a still shot showing you what's pointing at us for a certain period of time, and you can see there's winds ranging from about 35 to 55 plus knots and some pockets up to hurricane force. Here we go again, and that's your local swell tracker. I'll be back next weekend. Have a fun, safe time in the water, and we'll see you up the Vans Triple Crown.